Westeros.
And welcome to our Morning Throwers podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got John 9 on deck. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Never had a bad day in my life.
I'm going to have to call timeout. I got to take a shit.
Jeff's got a turtle head poking out, so
That's a good line.
in real time we're going to pause, but you guys won't miss a beat.
It might have been a fart. No, I can't. I got to go. Shoo. Wow. All right. That was like a shotgun shell.
Be careful what you're saying. This might go in.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You're on recording here.
How do you want to start the pod? With me pooping or?
Well, I'm having a great day.
That's good.
Kyle, give us a synopsis of the chapter and then tell us what you thought. The last couple of episodes we've been bad about that, and I feel like that is an important part because I don't think everybody reads along.
Yeah, let's hear the synopsis first.
The gist of this one would probably just be like there's some fighting, right? And it continues. And then John goes down for some breakfast or something, some shit, and he just gets fucking blindsided by Janos Slint, who finally shows up at his command. Oh no, he goes down for Dream One, just to correct myself. I do remember.
No, he gets pulled out of bed, but
he goes down for a nap for Dream Wine, then gets pulled out of a nap.
Yeah, but he's sleeping and he gets awoken But
he stayed down, Jeff. So he'd been up on the wall in the
Oh,
in
yeah,
the hut.
yeah. I thought you meant like down from his tower. But yes,
no.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, he went down from the wall. He was at the top of the wall at the beginning. That was
Yeah. So like you said, I think the big part is at the end, Janos Slint. You said it weird, but I just call him Janos.
I work with a dude named Janos. He spelled it like that.
Janos.
Okay, I think most people call him Janos.
Him and Caven Lannister.
His name was Janos, and he was from Transylvania, man. He was legit. I don't know what else to tell you.
I've never even heard of Transylvania. I thought that was
he moved back. It's in Romania. How have you never heard of Transylvania, Jeff?
Where Dracula's from.
I thought it was but I thought it was a made up place. I thought it was like from a TV show.
It's in Romania. No, it's a real place, dude.
Vampires are from Romania.
Dracula is.
Okay. Like if you go to Romania, you're gonna see like Dracula statues.
Oh yeah, because he's real. Yeah.
Don Quixote's not real, but you see statues of him in Spain. You dumbass. Come on.
Somebody had to have fucked around and put a Dracula.
There's probably a Dracula statue somewhere here in America. Like, what do you?
Of the main town.
Let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Kyle, what do you think? What do you think of the chapter?
Well, who else? Who comes with Janos? Jeff. I want Jeff to answer this one. Who comes with Janos?
Alistair Thorne.
Yes, and you said it right. I thought I was about to trip you up and say Alistair. I always call him Alistair with a T in there.
It should be Alistair. I actually usually in my notes write it Alistair. Alistair isn't a name.
I mean, anything could
Alistair's
be a name.
Not really, but it's hard to say. Alistair.
It always trips me up. I thought I would get you because it's the first time we've seen it in a while. But
all you have to do is capitalize it, and then it's somebody's name, right?
Exactly.
Like you could.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just Alistair is a better name than Alistair.
I agree.
Okay.
Bad job by Alistair's parents.
Sorry to any viewers named Alistair. If there's any of you out there, let us know in the comments.
And bad job by your parents then too.
Minus by them.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so what'd you think of it? We got the synopsis. Sorry, Kyle. We keep cutting you off. We're messing.
I thought I said earlier. I thought I said it was a little boring, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't. Okay. Even the fighting wasn't that intense or anything. It was just kind of them at the top of the wall.
We got a turtle,
and then I guess we get to like this suspense here of what's going on with John. You know, like at the end of like, is he gonna live or die out of this?
Get the noose ready.
This noose or whatever they're sending him to. I think that's what they decided.
Get the noose ready.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't. Like the prediction up front, like I don't think that's happening, right? Like I feel like John has done way too much here that either like somebody at the top of the wall is going to hear about it, and like these guys are going to rise up. Like right, there's only 3 of these dudes, right? Well, that showed up, or did they show up with a bunch of people?
4 in total, I think, showed up.
Well, 4 in the room. John does ask at one point, "How many men have you brought?" And they're like, "We'll ask the questions here." Because at first John thinks they're like reinforcements sent because they sent out birds like come help us, which
they came from Eastwatch or whatever.
Yeah, but now that they're here, they're like, I'm in charge. So
they probably are, and then they hear, oh shit, John's here. Like fuck that dude. Like
yeah, I mean you wouldn't need many. You wouldn't need many to have more men than John has, right? So
yeah, I guess that's kind of what gave me pause and what my train of thought there was like, oh shit, maybe John is outnumbered here because there really aren't that many left.
Yeah, and they're like all crippled.
I mean, and he just doesn't hold rank over these people too. I'm sure Alistair at Eastwatch has been waiting for this opportunity to come back and like put John in his place.
for sure.
So, all right. Yeah, so the fighting's still going on. The wildlings continue to attack the wall. They're just chopping down trees every day, right? Now that's what the axes are?
Yeah. I think because they're making this big turtle is the idea.
Making the turtle, maybe making stuff. Arrows and stuff, but spears, rams, they said. But whatever they need. They're just chopping shit down all night, and they've got enough people to like basically have a second and third shift. And the wall,
nobody's tired.
Yeah, no one's tired, and the wall is tired.
And John talks about like how like they haven't slept because of the noise, but like wouldn't that also mean that the wild like they're closer to it? Like,
no,
shouldn't the wildlings have the same amount of problem?
The thing is, if you're tired enough, you'll fall asleep. I'm a firm believer. Like that shit. If it's a constant hack, you're falling asleep.
Well, it's not
to
one
be fair,
person, it's everybody,
John.
That almost be more like noise.
He wasn't saying that he couldn't sleep. It was just that. I mean, he said that he could not remember the last time he slept, but it's because of the dreams of fighting, right? He still fought in his sleep, essentially, is what he's kind of going through here.
That is a cool quote. John could not remember the last time he slept. When he closed his eyes, he dreamed of fighting. When he woke, he fought. So, just constant.
So, I mean, it was just constant. Like, he had no rest, right? Like, that was...
No
it was
stress
everywhere.
relief,
Whereas these people, I think, like the wildlings don't have to deal like they're not in quite as stressful of a situation.
Yeah.
I might have told Jeff this before, but like I feel like I was relating to this big time. There was this one. So in high school, my team in football, we had like 26 kids on our team, and this one time we were playing this school, Milton Hershey. Matt, like they have a full roster. The school is huge. They have so many kids at the school. But their football team is like a full roster, 110 kids, however many you can have for
there's no limit
for a full high school team. There's no limit. They had a lot of kids. They had like over 100 kids. But like our team was so small, a lot of us were playing both ways, offense and defense. And they fresh legs, right? Fresh legs on special teams, fresh legs there. That's what John's going through.
Now just put your 26 teammates up on the wall. You'd be fine if you had a 700-foot wall.
I will say I will throw my hand up. In that game, we scored last play of the game. We could have either kicked the field goal, kicked the extra point to go to tie it, go to overtime, or go for two. We're like, dude, coach let us up to us in the huddle, and we're like, dude, we can't do another quarter of this. You got to just let us go for two here, and we fucked it up. I missed the block and fucked it up, and we lost the game.
Oh, no.
So hand up.
Of course you did. That's the most on-brand thing I've heard.
I put my hand up. It was me. We called for power, and there was a guy in the gap, and I just didn't get it.
Oh, my God. At least pick a good play.
Biggest guy on the team.
At least pick a good play if you're going to run it.
Oh, it was bad, too. Yeah.
All right. So, so they're fighting so much, and it's so constant that they've just decided to move into the top of the wall. So they've got heated tents up there where they're sleeping. They're like, all right, let's just chill.
They don't even go down.
Downstairs is only Eamon, Sir Winton Stout, and a few others too old or ill to fight. So
yeah, I feel like this was in the last chapter too. But Owen the Oaf, he's got a few screws loose. He's like, don't worry, Robert, the King Robert's gonna come.
Yeah, that's like, coming up, right? So he awakes John at dawn, and I think this is who awakes him. He's like, don't worry, I had a dream. King Rob and his I saw his golden banners are coming. He's like, all right, dude.
I think he said this. I think he said this multiple times, and John just like, yeah, we remind him, and then he just like keeps forgetting. Responds to a 10-second.
It's just not worth it anymore. Yeah,
10-second Tom and 51st Dates.
Yeah. So the Wildlings' new plan right now is to every morning for breakfast they roll out some shielded archers and just start sending arrows up to the top of the wall.
Yep, with like wet hides on it so they can't catch it on fire.
And they actually killed a guy.
They kill a guy.
They killed a guy, shot him in the leg. He fell off, but other than that, the scarecrows are getting most of the looses for right now.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like this guy died, and they're talking about like Pip's joking about it, right? Pip's like, "Oh, here come our breakfast." Like Pip's joking throughout the entire chapter.
Yeah,
but like they're like, "Here come our breakfast arrows," but this guy actually did die from one. Like it's like weird. Like it's a very grim situation. Like it's almost like we would expect Dolorous Ed to be here instead of Pip. You know what I mean? But like,
I mean, yeah, but somebody's got to break the tension, right?
Exactly.
That's
I mean,
really
it's war too, right? Like, I don't know. You see it in war movies all the time. The old vet goes to the young guys like, look, dude, like, we're dead already. Like, you got to think about it like that. I don't know that from experience at all. I'm strictly speaking from movies, cinema.
Yeah. There's a book by a Holocaust survivor called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. In that, he basically says, like, when they were, like, going through like, when he was, like, in a like a camp getting woken up and like taken out to like do manual labor without shoes and like while it's freezing out. He's like, he heard like the most horrible jokes then, like between like the prisoners. Like he's like, our humor was so dark, like even though we were in that like horrible state, like you kind of need like anything you can get. Like they would joke about dying like all the time, even though they were like actually like people were dying, like their friends were dying all around them. So it's like, yeah, kind of like a
Something
weird,
to get you through, man.
like a weird humor. Yeah.
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 Gotta make light of your situation, right?
Yeah. So John now, so part of the joke too is Pip is like, oh, our scarecrow. He gave the scarecrows names of other fallen brothers, right? Like,
well, not fallen. Just I think most of them are just people who are like off with Bo and Marsh, because one of them is Dolores Ed, who was in
just guys that they're not around.
Yeah, and there's like a little there. John said people were actually betting on who was going to collect the most arrows.
Yeah,
and Dolores Ed was
which
lead.
I didn't get until somebody until somebody got an arrow later on, and they're like, oh, that's another one for whoever it was. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, Pip's calling out like the betting odds like at a horse race. It's tied now.
I thought it was they were betting who could hit the shields.
Oh, gotcha.
So the wildlings were coming out with shields now, right? And like because they weren't lighting on fire, they were just eating arrows. So I thought it was who could hit those the best.
Gotcha.
Was I thought the game at first, and then I was like, oh wait, no, they're talking about which one of these scarecrows takes the most arrows.
So they named the people that we know they named the scarecrows after were Dolores Ed, Othel Yarwick, Tumber John, and Wat of Lawn Lake. And the last three there, Othel, Tumber John, and Wat all had 3. Dolores had 4. I think Wat later gets one, which ties in with Dolores Ed. So.
Yep. So John now at this point has brought up a Myrish eye that was Master Aemon's, which I'm assuming is a telescope.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he has been just doing some scouting of the wildling camp, and he's seeing some stuff. Hasn't seen Mance yet, but he can definitely see his big white polar bear tent. And then he sees Nelson's 2 girls,
Dala and Val.
Val and Dala.
It's interesting. Like, I wonder how long this has been. I probably could look it up based on the timeline, but I don't really trust that. The only things we know
for Val's pregnancy.
No, I'm just saying since John's. Well, I wasn't thinking that's a good point, but like I was just thinking since John's last chapter. Like, how long have they been waking up every morning fighting this fight? You know what I mean? Because like you said, he didn't see Mance, but he probably has seen Mance like not this morning, but yesterday or 2 days ago.
Just do a guesstimate on.
So the only two. I was trying to guess in the chapter. The only 2 things we have are. Yesterday they got a bird about Bo and Marsh, his escapades,
winning a battle, to the west.
And 2 days ago they ran out of pitch. So
right, they've definitely been doing this for a while then, right?
Because I think John said they were well stocked.
I think there's a third thing too, and that's how long does it take to build a turtle?
That's true. That's a good point.
You would think that after they failed with the giants, they would be like, all right, like how can we protect them?
Immediately start on that pretty much.
Yeah, but it takes a village, right? Like, and the wildlings
they've been chopping shit down. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is a week. I don't know how much pitch they had, right? So like we don't know the store. They used a lot of it to blow up the stairs. Like they had 12 left today. Did they have 20 before? And they've been using one barrel.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think John had said that Bowen did leave them well stocked in everything but men. I think he had said something like that in the last John chapter, which. And
I know, but they just went through a big fight.
For sure. So I'm thinking like at least a week or 2.
I don't know. I was gonna say 2 weeks would have been my feel.
Fortnight?
Stuck on top of the wall for 2 weeks, you think? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, we got Dala, Val, and Torment, or is that a little bit later?
Yeah, it's a little bit later. But Val is poking the fire. Dala is what's she doing? Something, but
goat?
She's really
milking a goat.
She's milking
Val
a she-goat.
is milking a she-goat.
Oh. And what's Dala? Oh, she's tending the fire.
She was tending the fire.
And Dala's looking like she's ready to go any moment here.
Yep.
And then we turn and we see that the turtle that they're building is almost completely done.
Yep. Anything on the Dala stuff, Kyle? We're about to have a little prints beyond the wall.
I don't know, man. I don't know the implication of that yet. I'm sorry. Like, unless we talked about it.
I just kind of reminding you that Dala is pregnant with Mance's child.
Yeah, I mean, I did forget about that, but like I said, I don't know. Like I said, what that really means for any of them. Like, I don't see. Like, I haven't seen enough of their customs, I guess, to know if it's good or bad news or whatever, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So then we got the turtle. Kyle, read that little description of the turtle.
The wildlings had skinned one of the dead mammoths during the night, and they were lashing the raw, bloody hide over the turtle's roof, one more layer on top of the sheepskins and pelts. The turtle had a rounded top and 8 huge wheels, and under the hides was a stout wooden frame. When the wildlings had begun knocking it together, Satin thought they were building a ship. Not far wrong. The turtle was a hull turned upside down and open fore and aft, a long haul on wheels.
Yeah. So the turtle, they didn't mention it here. They said long haul on wheels, but later John's like, how are they going to get it past this mammoth? The wheels, this dead mammoth that's in the way, the wheels are wide enough that it just like...
That it can go over it.
It just like, yeah, just like a dead squirrel in the road. It just straddles it.
It doesn't shock me.
I'm just saying, this thing is huge. Long haul on wheels, actual long haul. You can... There's a lot of, like 100 people in this thing, maybe. Yeah, a lot of people in here. Yeah.
All right, so after he realizes the turtle's almost done, him and Gren have a little convo, basically about the turtle being done. He just thinks to himself, like, wow, Gren has grown a lot. And that's what I took from it. Gren's kind of changed, right? He's not just a stupid Auroch. He might look like an Auroch, but with his beard and hair, but he's kind of growing it up and through this battle.
Yep. But he looks bad. He's like, "Go. You need sleep. Go sleep. We're going to need you later." And they do, because they have some big, heavy-ass shit to push off the wall. So, good call by John. You go get some shut-eye. It doesn't seem like he's down there very long, but whatever.
Does he go down, or does he just go into a heated tent?
Oh, you're right, to the shed. He goes to the shed. Yeah, you're right. Good call.
Yeah, come on. All right, so John looks some more now, and this is when he sees Tormund, and he's just eating while his sons build, and and then he sees Vladimir Sixskins walking with the Shadow Cat at his heels.
Varamir.
Some old friends, quote unquote, right?
Vladimir.
What is it?
Yeah, Varamir.
Oh, shit. Autocorrect.
Got Russian.
Varamir.
I think we've only seen this guy one time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Manson introduced us.
Doesn't he just kind of like walk by John at some point with?
I might have a quote. Let's see.
You don't have shit.
A small mouse of a man whose steed was a savage white snow bear that stood 13 feet tall on his hind legs, and whenever the bear and Varamir went, 3 wolves and a shadow cat came following. John had been in his presence only once, and once had been enough. The mere sight of the man had made him bristle, even as the fur on the back of Ghost's neck had bristled at the sight of the bear and that long black and white cat. So, dude's a badass. And he's only with his cat right now, though.
Okay.
Then John hears the winch, which means actual breakfast time, not breakfast arrows. So
he ate too, because you never know when that next meal is coming.
Yep.
Forced it, yeah.
And then I think he's thinking back here about the letter and a little bit about Bone Marsh. Bone Marsh's escapades to the west.
He won a bloody battle at the Shadow Tower. They took on a lot of wildlings, but it was also a costly battle for them. They lost a bunch of cats along the way. Okay, bye, Nelson.
I just wanted to go look at the map. I'll put the map in the podcast right now. He says that he goes past the Shadow Tower past the gorge to the Bridge of Skulls. And on the map, it looks kind of badass. It looks like right where the wall ends, you have this like crazy ravine, like sheer cliff on both sides, which is like a very narrow bridge. The only thing that like spans it between the wall and the sea, and it's the Bridge of Skulls. So
you didn't want to give us a map time on that?
I didn't think about it until just now. It's over there.
That's crazy. So they're down even more men. So John tried to send the old Molestown lady who was shooting crossbows, right? Back to Molestown. Yep. What's her name? Zin?
Z.
Z. She never came back, so he's assuming Molestown got up and skated south.
Well, he sends Mully, another guy, after her, and he comes back and says like, yeah, they're gone. And John actually thinks like, you know what? That's maybe we should
we go to?
Yeah, like it's not looking good here.
Which is bad mentality. You can't go into the battle. That's what you did against Milton Hershey. You're like, there's no way we can win this.
No. I said run power and run it to my side. I'm like, we're about to...
You literally did that so you couldn't go to overtime. Like, you had no faith in overtime. Get one stop. First and 10 at the 10.
The legs.
First and goal at the 10.
Were just beat. They had fresh legs every time. I mean, I don't know what you want.
What made you think that you could kick out power then? Idiot.
I had one more go in me. I just hit the wrong guy. There was a guy who walked up on the inside gap, and I didn't get him. I hit my normal guy, and he.
Oh gosh, gap towards Pooler, Nelson.
I know.
Gap towards Pooler.
It's always man towards Pooler. Yeah, I know.
God damn it! All right.
So I fucked up. It's bad. It looks bad on film, but I called for it. I wanted it, and then it was a mental mistake.
All right. So yeah, no help coming from Molestown, and the turtle's now starting its approach. So right, ring the horns. It's time to go, and they just start sending shit at them. They send in arrows. They're sending
trebuchets, catapults.
Yeah, they're actually kind of skirted
scorpions,
around.
not the trebuchet.
Yeah, because the trebuchet is landing somewhere that they've diverted.
They learned its range, and they avoid it now. There's only one left.
In the last chapter, John had mentioned that they should have put that on a swivel to have a little better maneuverability.
And, well, they had two as well. The one's broken.
Just broke. Yeah. I will say here, John does go through the list of pretty much everyone who's here. I haven't mentioned them as we go because John does give us a good list here. Pip, Keg, Satin, Horse, Owen the Oaf, Tim, Tangletongue, Mully, Spareboot, and the rest. Again, Spareboot.
And who's the rest, Nelson? You said he gives us a perfect or full list. Who's the rest?
This is the list of the red shirts. The rest is the red shirts. It's the people who maybe die or
the fodder.
we don't hear about. And
I feel like the named guys are fodder as well, though. So
well, some of them. And John says, I think this is cool too. John says he tries to imagine any of them going toe to toe with 100 screaming wildlings in the darkness of the tunnel because he knew that's what it would come down to if they didn't figure out how to deal with this turtle. He looks around at basically this turtle's coming. He looks around at all the people under his command now, but also a lot of these guys are his friends. And he's like, fuck, how are in this, imagine that in the situation
this sucks,
Donald
but
Noy
can you
was in,
imagine that? Yeah.
where you have a giant coming at you, because that's what it's going to come down to if we can't figure a way to stop this fucking turtle.
Yeah.
So then we get into all the stuff you guys were saying. We're firing catapults, arrows are doing nothing. Nothing's doing nothing.
They knew all that though, pretty much.
They had a backup plan. They had the real plan, I guess. Plan A.
Yeah, this was just something to do while it was coming in.
Hey, we're shooting you.
Yeah.
Can't make it easy.
So plan A is actually that they have barrels of gravel that they have poured with water and just let freeze over. So they made boulders to drop on this thing once it gets close enough.
Did they not do this last John chapter? Am I just getting confused because I was listening to the audiobook?
I don't remember them doing barrels of ice.
I think they might have actually had some big rocks, Nelson, that they were actually just kind of throwing over.
They might have had big things.
Whatever they're probably putting in the trebuchet, right? So maybe they're just low on big rocks too.
Yeah.
So, or maybe these are way heavier than anything that they actually had.
If they were smart, what they would do is somehow figure out a way to get the ice out of the barrel before you
just keep making it,
because then you can just make it again. Yeah, tomorrow. And
but the thing was so the ice in the barrel was mostly gravel too.
Yeah, you don't have.
Well, I don't think there's a lack of gravel. I think there's a lack of barrels.
No, maybe the barrels were holding the gravel.
Where are they storing the gravel? They just have a mound of gravel out back.
Yeah, they got the guy came and dumped it off.
The truck pulled up and just put it over there.
Okay, you guys are right.
Nelson's argument fell apart pretty quick.
Yeah.
I was gonna say what? You never seen a pile of gravel before? I'm oh wait.
So they get grand. I mean, maybe they had a pile, but I don't know.
I think it came up in the barrels and stayed in the barrels.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you guys are right. I agree. I forfeit that one.
Yeah,
good.
So they wake Gren up. They're like, "Hey, it's time." The biggest thing about freezing it was they froze the gravel so that if it hit the wall, it would stay intact and still be a big.
Good idea, landing. Right? That's a genius play, right?
It's a really good play.
Advanced level tactics for sure.
Do you ever see the videos of people throwing shit off a hoover, the dams, big dams, and the way balls get
the Coriolis effect?
Is that what it's called?
Well,
it's just physics, man. That shit's crazy.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Coriolis effect has to do with the spinning of the Earth, but I don't know. It might be the same thing, Nelson. I don't know.
I know. I think you're right. As soon as I said it, I'm wait a minute. But.
All right, whatever. You can figure it out later and put it in.
Yeah.
Editing Nelson here. The effect I was thinking of is called the Magnus effect, which is an effect that happens on all rotating spheres and cylinders.
Yeah, so the turtle's at the wall, right? And they built it smartly, like Nelson said. It went right over the mammoth and hugged up right up to the door. So they're going to start chopping away at this door.
So besides the mammoths, there's a lot of bodies out here.
Yeah, I mean, once you get there, you just throw them out, I guess, or just walk over them.
Okay, but what happens to dead bodies that we know about in this neck of the woods?
Oh, the walkers or whatever. Yeah.
Why are these not...
Yeah, it was surprising that they didn't send, one guy out with a torch and be like...
Exactly. I mean, if I'm John and they start burning bodies, I'm going to let them do that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If I can tell that it's not a sneaky attempt to, get closer to the wall or something, and they're just burning bodies, but it doesn't seem they did that. But I don't
It
know.
doesn't
They
seem
didn't
like
come
they
back
did
either.
that.
So
Right.
That's
and
weird. Yeah,
it's
you're right.
definitely something that like didn't. I forget which one of them was like, "Hey, if I die, like you burn my fucking body."
Maybe they're too far south. Like I don't know the rules around.
So that's a thought, but you got to remember in Game of Thrones, Ghost brings back the hand when Jon's giving his vows
Yeah,
to
and
the
the
werewolf
guys
tree.
came back after they were here. Yeah,
They carry those 2 dead bodies back to Castle Black, and they rise in Castle Black, south of the wall.
but maybe they were already infected outside or whatever. Like I don't know how. Like you don't know.
That's true. Okay, yeah. I mean, you don't know how the match. That's a fair point. You don't know how it works.
They were planted.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's a fair. I think that's honestly a fair argument that people, because people have thought about this. Like I think that's a thing that people say. Like those are special because they could have been like killed way
Touched
north
by the
and then
the
sent.
whites or whatever. Yeah.
Because it is weird that they're that far south anyway, right? Because we kind of know in general where the others are. They were kind of with Sam when
Yeah.
he was running from the fist, like past the fist of the first men. So if that's where if they're in one group, have they come this far
Yeah.
south? Where do these guys? How they get here? So it's an interesting thought. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. Something to think about.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool.
All right. So
I
Gran.
wonder if it's George fucked up.
Potentially, but I feel like it's a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could have been badass. And like, if they come back and they fight the wildlings,
If I was smart, that
Then-
would have been my prediction. But that was never going to be my prediction.
you know what? Maybe Jon. I was saying if I was Jon, I would let them burn him. Maybe I wouldn't, because they're gonna come back.
Yeah,
And what are they
that's-
gonna do? They're not gonna be able to get through the wall just the same. Like they're gonna go that way. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't know. But like I'm saying, that would be more interesting than a turtle. So I feel like if anything, it's a missed opportunity that George didn't go that way. But you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe he forgot. But just interesting to think about. So the turtle's at the wall, and Jon thinks the plan is come up, pretty much hug the wall, and start chopping at the gate. Like we have a roof over heads, and we can just chop at the gate, and then now we're coming through the gate. So they're pretty much about to start doing that, and Jon's like, Gren, do it now.
Start
And-
pushing, boy.
They start pushing.
Dig deep.
Heave
Yep.
ho.
So they do it. Shit falls. Cracks the front of the turtle. People start squirming out of there. Battle's won.
Yeah, it was pretty
Just like that.
pretty simple conclusion to it, but yeah.
I know, right? Like how like disappointing of a climax was that? Like,
Yeah. It was very anticlimactic.
it was like 1 or 2 barrels like landed on the thing, and
Yeah.
like
Or-
it smashed the front end, and they're like everybody scattered, and like they've been building this thing for days, and they just were like, yeah, never
It's
mind.
just like that would be demoralizing. Like, oh, this plan's gonna work. This is great.
Like, do they know if they just do it 3 more times, then they'll win because Jon will be out of barrels? Like, do they know?
No, they don't know
Because Jon
that.
was telling them we have 1,000 men. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, how useful? It'd be really cool to have a man in their camp and like see like
Yeah, for
how
sure.
did Jon's lies impact
John
this?
left,
Like,
so I don't know who to
Agreed.
tell you would be over there for us.
I'm just saying.
It would be cool for sure. Yeah. All right. John's not feeling too hot, so he goes down to the King's Tower. He's gonna get some dream wine and go to sleep. So
Yep.
he does that. He dreams some more. I didn't write down what his dream was because he gets awakened pretty quick by brothers. Nels, do you have his dream? Do you care?
Well, one thing when he's on the way down, it's funny. He leaves Pip in charge.
Yeah. And Gren didn't take too kindly to that.
Pip's like me, and Gren's like him.
Him?
And Jon left him. And I'm pretty sure in the last chapter it was the exact thing but opposite. Jon leaves Gren in charge, and Gren's like me, and Pip's like him, and Jon leaves him. So I think it's the exact same thing, but just like flip.
He's just fucking around, kind of like, yeah. I mean, like, really though, like, what? There's not much to do up there. They know what needs to be done.
We're just giving people experience.
Exactly. There's one way to learn math, Jeff. You do
You
math.
got to do
exactly.
it.
It's one way to learn to command. You have to. You just do
gotta
it.
You just do it. No questions. You don't ask
Come on,
questions.
I mean,
You
they're
do.
just at the top of the wall. Like, it's like, don't get hit by arrows.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, exactly. Which is why Jon just smiles and rides down in the cage.
Smash it. Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
Drinks,
All right,
drinks,
so-
crushes a whole bottle of ZZ Quill and has some weird ass dreams. This is one of the moments where it's like he says there's weird dreams, but we don't really hear anything except for like what there's like voices.
I didn't even write it down because it was so quick.
Strange and formless, full of strange voices, shouts, and cries, and the sound of a war horn blowing low and loud, a single deep booming note that lingered in the air.
Yep.
Too much Z-Quill is what that is.
Exactly.
That's those fucking crazy fever dreams, pretty much.
Yep. So he gets woken, yanked out of bed, and taken to the King's Tower.
By strangers.
it's not mentioned, but I thought that was a cool note, right? So John goes, he's like, I'm gonna go get dream wine from Aemon, and then he goes back to his cell. John is like in charge right now.
He's just in charge of the wall.
Yeah, but he's sleeping like in his little
True.
like squire's
Nah.
cell, right? He's not in it.
True.
Nah.
Even on this reread through, I thought for a second, like, oh, is John's cell now the King's Tower? Because he says, I'm going to go down to the King's Tower and get some dream wine. I'm like, oh, is he in like the head honcho seat now? But he's not. Like,
Nah.
he's still in his own cell.
I think this was a dumb play too. Like, why did he come down here?
They would have just brought his ass down.
I mean, dude, it's got to be way more comfortable down here, even though he does have a kind of a shitty cell, than up at the fucking shack with all the
He's got
sweaty
stuff to do
ass-
up top, though, man. He's in charge. Like, I don't know.
They just send the horn. He rides up in the elevators. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Does somebody have to pull the elevator? Is another question. Like, is somebody operating that up top?
They have a donkey.
They might have a donkey. I'm sure there's a counterweight to make it not super taxing, but there's not electric. So yeah, I'm sure someone's doing something. Unless there's a donkey. Unless we got like the donkey from Pirates of the Caribbean doing
Yeah.
in the blacksmith shop doing circles.
What was the donkey's name?
Donkey doesn't have a name in that movie.
I think it does.
We get into I don't know. You're probably Bill. No, Bill's the pony in Lord of the Rings. I don't know. They get into Mormont Solar, and yeah, like we said it earlier. We got
Alistair is there. Dun dun dun.
John doesn't know who. So yeah, I guess Kyle for you. I knew immediately because he's like the Jolly Man. I feel like for half this conversation we don't.
Yeah,
know.
I didn't put that together. I forgot he was even coming.
What's that adjective? Just fat? Just kind of
Jano Slint.
like just chinned up.
I take Jolly
Well,
as like
it's the
floppy.
bulldog. These are your jowls, your
Okay.
cheek.
Yeah, like floppy skin.
So it's like you got the, like the.
Not like wrinkly from old age, but like like more from fat.
Yeah, just like sunken.
Not even sunken. No, it's like your cheeks are real saggy.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little
Alright.
jolly down here.
That's not your jowls. The jowl
I
is
would,
this.
I would consider you jolly now. I'm gonna start using that for you. Nelson's my jolly friend.
Jolly. Let's go with Jolly.
Jolly.
So yeah, we got these guys.
Yeah. He still doesn't know the other two guys. They're probably guys from Eastwatch.
Well, besides those two though, John does have a friend.
Eamon and drunk ass Septon is there.
Celador.
Celador.
And Sir Witten Stout is also there, right? Which is funny because like you could tell like Janos and Alistair showed up. They're like, all right, who's in charge? Like John, what? Like no. Well, who would have been in charge if not for John? Get him. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would have let us see how it went.
Yeah. All right. Everybody else. Any other elder, get here.
But he's just sleeping. Witten Stout, this dude who's just super old, he's just sleeping. And Celador is drunk as always, Septon. And they're like, oh, look, it's the Turncloak. Alistair's greeting to John.
Yep. So he accuses him of oath breaking, desertion, and cowardice. And Eamon wasn't feeling that. Eamon was trying to defend Johnny boy.
So John assumes these guys came because of the letter that Cotter Pike that they sent out, like to the other people, like help.
Yeah,
help
for
me.
sure. They were coming to help, man, right?
Is
like,
that true?
was his.
I think it's probably true, right?
I don't know.
Why else would they show up? Just show up randomly to like shit on John. You know what I mean? So I'm
Fair
guessing
enough.
that's why. Like it makes sense.
But not Slint, right? Slint came because he was supposed to be here.
Well, Slint's been at Eastwatch for.
Oh, really? I thought he came here. Okay, so then yeah, you're probably right then.
I think it says it in the appendix. I was trying to find it earlier, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Alistair has been sword teacher. What's that called? Master at Arms at Eastwatch since he came back from the Rotted Hand. Great, because he got sent for the Rotted Hand deal.
Well, he got kicked out of here essentially, right? Because he was fighting with John too much.
Yeah, him and John got in a scuffle, and Mormont was like, okay, well, we're going to send him on this, not kick him out, we're going to send him on this mission to take the Rotted Hand. The still, not rotted, it's still moving alive White Hand to King's Landing to get help, but it was rotted by the time, because Tyrion was just like ignoring him because Tyrion didn't like him, so he just like had him sit in the cell, and then it rotted, and then there was nothing to see. So, but we didn't know what happened to him after that, because the last time we saw him was in a Tyrion chapter. So now we like, I think in the appendix we learned he's been Master at Arms at Eastwatch for like a little bit. So Janos, which makes me think Janos was sent back, I think, before Alistair was. So he's probably been at Eastwatch for even longer.
Cool.
And just came with this group.
All right. So they're like, bullshit, John. Like, you deserted us. And Aemon's like, yo, I believe his story. Like, we did this already. We went through what happened. He told us we believe him. We understand. Like, what are we doing here? So they're like, bullshit, you're going to tell us too. And John starts explaining the stories that, he was working with Corn Half Hand. He was following orders. This was all his plan, and they just don't. They're not buying it.
The Half-Hand feared that Mance might have found the Horn of Winter, and Alistair's like,
yeah, that's his kind of, I don't want to say mistake, but like his first kind of issue here is like, oh yeah, okay, we're believing in that shit now, like, right?
it's weird.
They do have undead people.
These guys haven't seen any of this.
No, they have.
Yeah.
Alistair has.
Well, I mean, if one has, then you trust each other. Like, no, dude, this shit's real. Like, you're like, nah, fuck you, it's fake.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just how.
Well, some of it's whites are real and the Horn of Winter is real are two different things, I think.
Fair enough.
They're close. I think they're intertwined, but they're close. But I think a good quote is like, and it's hard to do with some people, but there's a thing where it's like we judge ourselves on our intentions, but we judge others on their actions. So like I think that's especially like if you try and put yourselves in someone's shoes in life, it's a good action. But I think even in this book, it works out a lot. And I think Alistair might honestly have good intentions.
Alistair?
Right? Like Alistair. Janos, I think it's harder to do that. But I think Alistair might honestly think that John is a pompous asshole who is a turncloak, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. But it's harder to see that with Janos, and they're clearly friends, so that kind of implicates Alistair as well, in my view. So,
you know what pisses me off is that these two continuously make them use their titles. And I've gone round and round about this in my feelings about the Wall. Like,
you're supposed to drop that, right?
Yes, the one thing we know about the Wall is that your name and your titles mean nothing. Like,
well, hang on,
Alistair, no, bullshit. I don't give a shit if you listen. Let me talk. Shut the fuck up. I don't give a shit if, like, okay, you come from this, you've been doing that, so like, fine, we'll give you this role because you're well suited for that role. But do not make me call you by the titles of your past life, because now you are a brother and that shit is gone. So, yes, you could have been a noble family and understand how to work with people and range or anything like that. But bullshit if you're making me call you Lord fucking Slint, because you are no longer the Lord. You are my brother. You are Janos.
So I think you're right about Lord, but Sir I think is different.
No,
Sir.
No, it's a title.
Yeah, but it's not associated with birth, right? So like when they were like when John's saying like who should be in charge after Donald Noy dies, he says Sir Winton Stout. He's like the only knight left, right? So like they still call him Sir Winton Stout.
It's okay.
It's kind of a rank in the military.
It's
right?
okay with like understanding where people came from. Like if you were
we don't know if Winton Stout was a highborn. He could have been like Dunk's a knight.
I didn't say anything about him being highborn.
Well, you said we don't know where he came from.
I don't.
That's my point. Is like Sir is different than Lord. Lord more is associated with, I feel like, nobility, where Sir is more of like an honor.
Again, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If you have a title, I don't give a fuck. If you have a title and you come to the Wall, you no longer have that title. So I don't need to call you that.
I agree in the premise that everyone's equal, but the title, I think Sir is slightly different, but it doesn't really matter here.
I disagree. It's a title.
I do agree with that, Nelson, as well. But I think to at least for the sake of conversation, Jeff, I'll entertain your thought. Right, like even with no titles, I think that's kind of the point here. Is that like Janos Slint came up here and is like now kind of changing the culture, right? Like he's the one that cares that I'm the Lord of Harrenhal now, and like I'm important. That's like been his whole come up. Is like
this is too old of a thing for one guy to just change the culture.
But he's the commander there, right?
He's not the commander.
Well, he came in and said he was commander. He's like, I'm the highest rank. I'm commander. That makes me. Well, I agree with Jeff.
Again. It's all. I'm saying this whole thing is bullshit. The way he has come in, pounding his chest, and like. So what are we talking about?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I think what Kyle's saying is he was sent by Cotter Pike from Eastwatch
to do what?
Well, like Cotter Pike sent 50 men, and he said, "Janos, you're in charge of these men." Why would he put Janos in charge? Because Janos was a Lord of Harrenhal. So I agree with you that it shouldn't matter, but in practice it does matter.
Stupid. That's stupid. No, it doesn't. Because
that's not even what I'm saying, though, Nelson. What I'm saying is that Janos Slint is a prick, and so he's gonna come in here and he's gonna try and swing his dick around, Jeff. And you're right. I agree. It's bullshit, right? Like there shouldn't be this stuff, but that's just who he is because that's all he cares about. because that's where he's from and what
Yeah.
to him he still is, I think, right? Like he's not a brother.
Do you think he was sent as the commander, Jeff?
I don't know. I'd have to reread that part because I don't know. But this is what I'm saying. Like, if it's him who's been there for less than a year with all his old titles that mean nothing now versus a brother of same age who's been on the wall for 25 years and has a track record of being a brother, that is more important than Janos who just showed up here.
100% agree that like that's what like the whole wall is about. That's their deal. But like, what's the prologue? Think of the prologue of Game of Thrones.
Again, I know it's a thing that they've been doing, and they've still called that guy like Lord and shit. Like,
well, again,
stupid.
My point is in that chapter we have Garrett, who's been on the wall for 40 years, being commanded by Sir Waymar Royce, who's been there for a year.
Again, I'm not talking about the decisions. I'm just talking about how stupid it is that he's fucking pounding his chest about his titles when that means nothing. Like somebody, a vet should have been like, dude, shut the fuck up. Your title is not that anymore. You might be commanding this group now, but that's not your title.
I think
shut the fuck up.
I think you're thinking of them as this like honorable team of dudes where they're not all. It's
but
like
there's enough guys that have pride in this job. I know they came from shitty backgrounds, but
no.
Like,
Jeff, I was arguing this against you the other day. In one of the Tyrion chapters, I was arguing about like, I think like the whole like Dorne could name Marcella because she's in Dorne is like viable, and you're like, no, she's not Dornish, like it doesn't apply.
Again,
but
I agreed with you that Dorne. No, because we go round and round, and I said that Dorne could have said this, but it's a Dorne rule that nobody else follows. So
time out. My point is, I was saying that by the book, this is how it could go, and like you and Kaya were saying, it doesn't matter that this is how it could go. They don't have enough men to make it go like that. So who cares what the book says? What matters is what could actually happen. Who has the most swords? What actually goes on in this world, right? Okay. Which I think it's really interesting conversation, like the difference between what should be happening like per law in Westeros, and then like what like just who's stronger actually ends up happening. And I think that's a very similar thing here, right? Like, it should be that like that's exactly what Benjen tells Jon when Jon shows up and he's like, I want to go on the ranging with you, and he's like, no, you're no one. You just showed up. You got to earn your stripes.
Exactly.
Just because you're Ned Stark's son.
Which tells you that is a thing. Like Janos,
exactly. That's how it
got
should
sent
be.
here. She's been like Janos, yeah, and I get it. The problem is we've lost a lot of people on the wall that have the veteran shit. Alistair obviously doesn't like Jon. Wants to kind of like push him down. So yeah, he's going to get this guy to like pick him up. I'm just saying like there's other vets there. Like Aemon's never been one to like hold his tongue when
you're saying it's bullshit that Janos is in charge because he should be the lowest at the wall right now.
Exactly. I don't think Janos has any authority. I don't think he has any authority to be like passing the judgment here. If anybody should be, it's Alistair, who is a vet on the wall and has been here.
Agreed. I think Alistair makes this conversation weird, but I think it's an interesting. I never thought about it till now, but like I think it's an interesting parallel to the beginning to the prologue of Game of Thrones, because exactly everything you're saying, I 100% agree with. That should be how it goes. But also in the prologue, Garrett should be in charge.
Sure, and I agree with you there. But it wasn't like it was the kid's first day on the job either. Like he was at least kind of there, right? And he was doing some rangings, but
doesn't guarantee promotion.
Yeah, and tenure doesn't mean you're the best man for the job either. To lead.
I don't know, Jeff. I think just to assume that like just because somebody's been there for 40 years that they're like an okay person and respectable is a leap. These dudes are criminals and like look at like jail, right? Like there's not really supposed to be any hierarchy there, but there's definitely an internal hierarchy.
I'm not saying that. I want to go back to my original fucking point, which has been crazy that we spent so much time on this. The fact that he was snapping at Jon to call him Lord and Alistair Sir is crazy to me.
That's so I 100% agree that this is a crazy quote. Again, we can argue all day about the Sir thing, but I think everybody knows where we stand. The crazy part, I think, is that he's like, I'm the commander here, and I'm Lord of Harrenhal. Like, dude, you were never Lord of Harrenhal. You never saw Harrenhal. You never stepped foot in Harrenhal. Sure, you were given
that's
Harrenhal
who he is. He's a big dick
And
swinging jerk.
that's why he's pounding his chest.
But the biggest point of all, to Jeff's point, is that you're Lord of nothing. You're a fucking black brother.
You're Lord of nothing.
You're a black brother. You're maybe higher rank than me, based on however the fucking black brother system works. But like we're fucking pretty equal. You're not a lord of a castle. You know what I mean? That is crazy.
And we don't even know like if Cotter Pike was like Cotter Pike probably is one of the higher, right? He's one of 3, right?
Yeah.
But so like, all right, you're commanding this 50. Again, I think that's stupid. Like, you probably don't even know the 50 men yet. Like, you just got here.
Oh yeah, we don't know how many men, and we don't know if Janos was sent as in charge, but it very much seems like that, right? I don't know how else this situation comes to play.
It's the way he's presenting himself, for sure.
It just seems to me like Aemon could have been like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, Alistair, you want to say something? Like, you Lord of Nothing, sit down.
I'm cool with Alistair being in charge because, again, like I 100% agree.
He actually
with you.
has a rank. He is a master.
I feel like seniority is supposed to be one of like the very highest factoring thing. It seems like that's what like they're kind of about. Seniority is very important on the wall, but clearly that's not actually in practice with the prologue, right?
Yeah,
So,
and I'm not saying that seniority is like the number one qualification to be the leader, but again, it's just like the fact that they're like Lord, you're Lord of Nothing. Like, shut the fuck up. You are a brother. Like that was my biggest point. Nonetheless, like I know who Janos is. I know that he feels this way, but dude, shut the fuck up. Like if everybody wasn't on the wall and this was like in the Great Hall and everybody's eating dinner and he was talking like that, I would hope someone would be like, dude, shut the fuck up.
I think the point is he still thinks he's getting out of here, Jeff. I think he thinks he's going back to this life.
I don't know if that exists. I don't know if that's ever been done.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, but I agree with Jeff that it's also there's not a shot, but I think that's maybe a thought that he has in his head.
I think that's what he thinks is happening. I think because didn't Tyrion send him out, right? Like I think he thinks
Tyrion kicked him out. Well, yeah, maybe you're like, oh, Tyrion's in trouble now. Everything's gonna get revoked.
Yeah, I think he
maybe.
thinks he's getting out of here. Like I don't think he ever thought this was a permanent thing. I think he thought Tyrion kicked him out, and like this will change. Like I'm getting out of here.
It's a good thought.
Whether or not you want to believe it, I don't care. But
all right, let's get back on track. Jon explains the story, and then they snap about the titles, and then they ask him about Ygritte. And he's like, yeah, no, I had to do whatever it took to be a part of it.
How do they know this?
It's just rumor mill, I'm sure. Like Aemon probably wrote something.
They pull in Rattleshirt later.
I guess, Rattleshirt, okay. Yeah, duh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They had a witness.
I don't know how much of that, well, like Rattleshirt wasn't with Jarl's men, right? Like Rattleshirt didn't climb the wall with them. Did he?
I don't think so. That was.
I don't think so either. I think they.
I don't think so. So yeah, they might even say in this chapter. I might be forgetting that they like caught him at Eastwatch. I mean, they're from Eastwatch, so he was probably at Eastwatch.
Right.
That was my guess. Was he was going around the wall at Eastwatch or something? Yeah.
Yeah. So. My guess was that Aemon like sent word like, "Hey, we got Jon. He's let us know of this attack that's coming."
Why would he say that he was banging this chick?
Well, he was. I don't know. That's true. That's got to be from Rattleshirt.
No. If Janos and Alistair show up and they're like, Aemon, what's been going on? And he's like, oh, Jon came back. Weird story. Listen to this. And they're like, wait, what? We hate Jon.
And didn't somebody see Jon? Somebody saw Jon from the wall, like from the...
Jarman Buckwell?
So I don't know where that guy was going back to, but they were like... So he goes back and says like, yo, I saw Jon with the wildlings. Like, that was weird. And he was playing grab ass with the...
Yeah. Exactly.
Redhead.
The redhead.
Yeah. And Jon he slowly gets more and more fed up with their like very accusing questions and like just calling him bastard and stuff like that the whole time. So he's like just telling the truth about Ygritte pretty much, like even more than he has to.
Hey, I actually like the girl.
But he's even saying like, oh, Corin commanded me to do it. And they're like, oh, did he command you to bed her? And he's like, to bed the whore? He's like, she's no whore. He commanded me to do what was asked of me, like what I had to. He could have stopped there, right? But then he's like, but I did care for
I liked
her.
it.
Like
I did it a couple extra times, for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
He wanted to respect her. She's gone.
There's a part there where he's like he wouldn't compare her to a Molestown whore. He's like, so you're an oath breaker. And he's like, if we're calling sleeping with somebody oath breaking, I mean, come on, everyone goes down to Molestown. He's like, he wouldn't compare what he had with like I think what he's saying is like, I wouldn't compare like the relationship I
definitely what he's saying. I had something more than just going to Molestown and buying a girl.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, I did break my vows. I'm an oath breaker in that respect. Yeah.
Yep. So then they bring in their character witness, which is Rattleshirt, who is not in his bones and he's all fucked up. They beat the shit out of him, right? Like he was.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Missing teeth.
Toothless and
roughed up.
Yeah. So he didn't recognize him at first, and Rattleshirt basically says that like John was having so much fun with him.
Yeah, he's like, Rattleshirt's like, is this the one you were telling us about? Or they asked Rattleshirt, is this one you were telling us about? And John's like, yeah, that's the one that killed Half Hand. After we killed the 2 other crows. That's what I have in my notes. I don't know what the actual quote is. Interesting, though, because John...
Up in the Frostfangs it were, after we hunted down other crows and killed them, every one. So maybe it was the other crows?
The other crows. I took it as 2 other crows. So, yeah, maybe it was the other crows.
T'other crows.
I was thinking it might be evidence that one got away, because there was 3 other people with John, right? Stone Stakes, Squire Dawbridge, and Eben. Squire Dawbridge stopped to shoot arrows.
Yeah.
Eben, we know he's dead. Rattleshirt actually had his head in a previous John chapter. But Stone Snake, who was like the really good climber. I was thinking maybe got away, but maybe not. Other crows, hard to tell.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we would have killed John too, but he was being a little pussy and he begged for his life. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah,
He
sure.
was being a little pussy and he begged for his life.
Be toxic, be awful, get us canceled. Say it. I do not agree with Nelson's choice of words.
He was being a wuss and he begged for his life. Is wuss better? He was being a little wussy.
He was being a craven. Say that now.
Was he being from Rattleshirt's perspective?
Yeah, from Rattleshirt's perspective.
From Rattleshirt's perspective, he was being a craven.
Yeah. And Corin's like, well, if you're going to just try and beg for your life and turn over to them, I'll fight you first. But then Rattleshirt's like, but then Ghost did most of the work, and John's cut his throat. And he spits at John's feet, which is great, because, like, this has to be great, right? I mean, I'd never actually thought about it when I was reading the chapter, but, like, Rattleshirt is the guy who, like, the entire time he wins over Mance, he wins over Tormund, he's sleeping with Egret. Like, Rattleshirt's like, he's just fucking lying.
Yeah,
he's
still
not
with us. He's a crow.
Now,
yeah.
Here's Rattleshirt, all fucked up, and John's all in black again. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, he was definitely with us. He liked being with us.
It's actually kind of a badass moment. Yeah, and he's like, fuck this guy. Like, yeah, this fucking...
I'll get him.
Yeah, John's got to be like, oh, you fuss. I got you. Yeah, you were right. There is a moment in the show, Jeff, where it's totally different. Like, I think there's a moment where John, I think when he like it's when Summer helps him escape the tower, escape Steer's group. Yeah. There's like a guy who, I think the guy who was suspicious of John in the show was with them.
Okay.
And John like stabs him. And he's like, "You were right the whole time."
Yeah.
Jumps on the horse.
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of this moment I see is that John's like, "You were right the whole time," and here I am.
I'm trying to think who it was.
Not that this chapter ends well for John, but still kind of a.
Was it the eagle guy in the show?
It was, yeah, because in the books he kills the eagle guy before he's alive, but in the show the eagle guy's alive till then.
Yeah. All right,
then the eagle attacks him.
All right. So Jonas is going off. That's all I said. I don't even know what he started yelling.
Do you think I fell off a turnip wagon and landed on my head?
You lie through your bastard's teeth.
Yep.
Well, I will not suffer it. I will not.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I told you the truth. Our Garens are failing, and Rattleshirt was close behind us. Corin told me to pretend to join the wildlings. You must not balk, whatever is asked of you, he said. He knew they would make me kill him. Rattleshirt was going to kill him anyway. He knew that too. And then Janet was like, what, this little fucking guy? You think he could kill Corin Halfhand?
So now you claim that the great Corin Halfhand feared this creature?
Rattleshirt's like, everyone fears me and he gets like kicked.
All men fear the Lord of Bones. Yeah.
This wallowing rumbled. Yeah. All right. So Janet starts going off that he's a bastard. Your dad's and not only that, but you're the son of a bastard.
Yeah, you're son of a traitor. Yeah.
They shit on Ned, but they also shit on my boy Donald Noy. You may have fooled that crippled blacksmith, but not Jonos. Like, shut the fuck up.
Not me, the wisest of them
Donald
all.
Noy had more honor in his missing arm than you have in your whole fucking body, Janos. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lord of nothing.
This dude's
bitch
garbage.
boy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then John comes back with him. I don't know what your skull is stuffed with, my lord.
Yeah. He's like, what is it? You think my skull is full of cabbage? I don't know what it's full of.
I don't know what we're doing here. Yeah. And then he continues to say, like, you're probably the same traitor as the one that killed Mormont. And
He's like, yeah, it was all the same plot. You guys
all
were all
the
the same
same
group
coup.
of turncoats.
And maybe Benjin too, for all we
Benjamin
know.
was in on that shit.
He might be over
He's
there chilling
sipping
with
tea.
Mance right now.
Sipping tea in Mance's tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fucking Starks.
Janos is like, I know the Starks. I know them too well. It's like, your father's a traitor. And John's like, oh, that's it. I don't give a fuck anymore.
John pulls off his glove. He's like, "Look, I burned myself trying to save him. My uncle was a man of honor. Like, shut your fucking mouth."
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he says. And then I think Alistair even stands up for him, right? He's like, he comes out and he's like, he swears
Alistair,
it to the gods.
Amen, yeah.
Yeah. I meant Aemon.
Because Salador shits on him. He's kind of joined. He's like, I see the way this is going. I'm gonna join. That's the way I take it. He's like, I see where this is going. I'm joining the winning side. 'Cause he's just the drunk scepter.
Oh yeah,
That's fair. He was drunk.
he did pray to the wildling gods, not to our gods. Like
That's right. And then Aemon comes out and he says, "Well, they're the gods of like the north. It's not just the wildlings. Like, come on."
Yeah. Then he really hypes him up.
my lords, when Donaloy was slain, it was this young man, Jon Snow, who took the wall and held it against all the fury of the north. He has proved himself valiant, loyal, and resourceful. Were it not for him, you would have found Mance Rayder sitting here when you arrived, Lord Slint. You are doing him a great wrong. Jon Snow was Lord Mormont's own steward and squire. He was chosen for that duty because the Lord Commander saw much promise in him, as do I.
That's pretty big praise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, like, I'm going to say one more thing. Like, Lord Slint, no, you call him Slint right there. And you can call Lord Mormont because he is Lord Commander.
I agree with that. Because I was going to
digress.
argue about the Lord Mormont earlier, because people do call, but then I was thinking he is also Lord Commander. And I was trying to think of
He
another
does still
Lord.
have the title, yeah.
Yeah. So agree. Also, but I think in terms of like calling him Lord, is like Aemon's he knows the situation.
Trying to butter him up a little bit.
He's walking on eggshells here.
Yeah, well, Janos doesn't trust the wolf.
Firm but courteous is how John described the way he spoke. He spoke firmly but courteously. So
Yeah, well, Slint doesn't buy it.
exactly. And Janet's like, well, promises can turn false. I know about being betrayed by people you trust. Like, I don't care if Mormont and Corrin trusted him. I know about being betrayed. He's like, your father died a traitor, and John is like, again, I'm not dealing with it. He was murdered.
He was fuck it at this point. I ain't going down soft.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I'm dead anyway. Like, fuck off. He was killed, yeah.
So, Kyle trivia: what part did Janos play in Ned's
He was like
murder?
the gold cloak, right?
He was the head of the Gold Cloaks. So
He was
why is that
supposed to be
important?
on Ned's side.
Yeah.
In the
And
throne
then
room?
Littlefinger
Exactly.
or whatever bought him, or
Yep,
somebody over
exactly.
top. Yeah.
Littlefinger's the one who pays him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So send his ass to the ice cell. We're gonna put him on a noose. You don't deserve the sword. We're gonna give your ass a noose. Send him to the ice cell. Alistair walks over to be big bad, I don't know, bailiff guy, and John's like, "Fuck you," choke slams him a little bit, and then gets dragged off.
Lifts him off his feet. John's like 15. Alistair's a grown ass
Yeah.
man. John's fucking
Yeah,
pissed.
and he's got an injured leg, and he's high on dream wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dreamline makes it a little unbelievable. Other than that, I think John could be bigger than this dude. I don't know this dude.
It's all leverage.
Yeah, we don't know.
I've seen Nelson get lifted off his feet.
I think we did hear that like in the very first brand chapter that John is like lean and quick where Rob was like strong and broad and strong.
Okay.
So you think he's a little bit on the smaller side, but I mean he gets definitely big enough to hold his own.
Well, and he's been being pretty badass for a little while here, right? Like he's kind of had definitely been training.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of labor and stuff. I'm sure too.
Yeah. So what's next for John, Kyle?
Well, they use this opportunity to once again condemn John. You see for yourselves, the boy is a wildling.
Yeah.
He's attacking a brother. So
What I think it's time for is the return of Ghost, right? Like I think that would be the best.
Character witness, Ghost. Put Ghost on the stand.
No, I just think Ghost come and fuck this dude up, right?
Ghost would fuck up everybody at Castle Black. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even have arrows to try to shoot at Ghost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other option is kind of what I was getting in earlier is just everybody up top, comes down and says, nah, that ain't going to happen. Those are the two kind of plausible options I got. I would prefer Ghost. I think that would make more fun story.
All right. Ghost
I will
is
say one
coming.
last thing I think is kind of interesting here is there's a point where Janna says like, "Oh, your father was a highborn. He got the sword. You're lowborn. You'll get the noose." That just kind of like brings back to again like the early chapter where what does Ned say? You owe a man the honor of like looking him in the face and hearing his last words. Like if you're gonna kill him, might as well like
do it with honor.
if you can't kill a man that you can't like look at and think he actually deserves it. So I think it's interesting here that he's like Janos is kind of referencing Ned in the same breath as like kind of going against it. Now I feel like him commanding John to get the noose isn't far off from swinging the sword, like whatever noose sword. Like
I mean, he is right
nooses.
there too, right? Like he's
You're
saying it
watching
right to his face.
And you're and if you're doing the noose thing, you're like Barrack is like watching it, right? Like when Barrack's hanging people. So yeah,
I was just looking. We're getting pretty close.
end of the book.
Yeah, I mean,
Chapter 6. This is chapter 69.
Child.
Next one, Tyrion.
back on trial, maybe. Who knows?
There was one last witness, right?
I know, but sometimes they do that bullshit where we jump back and it's like
That's
6
true.
days later and he's like in the cell and he's like, well, that last witness didn't work and that was the end of it. Like they don't ever.
So that could always happen. But your last prediction was that the last witness would be Jaime.
I
You
know.
dig
I
in
know.
a
I know.
Jaime chapter that kind of overlapped timeline wise with Tyrion. Potentially still a possibility.
I stand by it.
Yeah. All right. See you, Kyle.
See Kyle and Tyrion 10. We'll see the rest of you guys in the spoiler section. Bye bye.
Bye.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you in the next one. Now on the spoiler section for John 9. Jeff, what we got?
So the first one, John was awoken at
Dawn.
dawn.
So this whole
Hot
quote,
word.
this whole little quote is like the only thing I have. There's 3 hot words in this quote.
Well, I think I'm with you on the second.
He said, "Lord Snow," said Owen, shaking his shoulder. "The dawn." He gave John a hand. So it's interesting that not only does John wake at dawn, but the way Owen says it. So he was awake when Owen came to him, lying restless under a pile of furs on the floor of the warming shed. "Lord Snow," said Owen, shaking his
The
shoulder.
dawn.
The dawn. So it's like you can
The
see this
dawn.
happening in the future. It's like, here's dawn.
Here is
Light
the
bringer.
dawn, sir. Yeah.
Here's the sword, dawn. He gave John a hand to help pull him back to his feet. Others were waking as well.
Capital O.
Capital other because it's the beginning of the sentence.
And they're
Others were
waking.
waking as well,
Yeah.
jostling
There's
one
power.
another as they pulled on their boots and buckled their sword belts in close confines of the shed. No one spoke.
No.
Arya.
No, Arya.
So
is
imagine
no
this
one.
in the future. John is getting handed dawn from someone. Others are rising.
And
on the-
Arya's
maybe
just
on the other side of the
chilling.
wall. This might all be happening in a warming shed at the top of the wall during the long night. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this is a
Nah, they're fighting at Winterfell. You know that.
well, that'll happen eventually, but who knows if there's not like a wall fight, then a Winterfell fight, then like a God's Eye fight, then a Storm's End fight, then a Dorne fight.
Yeah.
Who knows how
That's your
far
hope.
this thing
That's your
goes.
hope, but that's like 9 books, Nelson. That's never happening.
Where are the books? Why is it taking so long? Maybe George is just like, you know what? Let's see how deep this
Because
rabbit
George
hole
is
goes,
having
baby.
fun writing character books.
So I just think that's an awesome quote. I mean, those are 3 of the the buzzwords: others, dawn, and no one, and they all are like the dawn. Others starts a sentence. No one spoke. Like no one spoke is a sentence you don't need. Like it's assumed no one spoke unless you say someone spoke. So like saying no one spoke is just to get the word no one in there.
Yeah. Now, I see you're thinking
And that's
that.
just saying Arya. Like in Winds of Winter, John's gonna get
This is
handed
just-
dawn. Others are gonna be waking up, and Arya is gonna be saying some bullshit.
If
Fact.
we do get there,
Write
I
it
hope
down.
you remember this page, and I think you should write your page down and like major predictions like 9. It's for me, John 946 of
There's only
Storm of
one
Swords.
theory that we talked about in spoiler sections that I felt was like original enough that I actually marked, and it was one that you had about Dany being Nisa way back when.
Yeah, because I'm a god.
Maybe this theory I just have will make the mark, but I haven't looked up if anybody else has thought this about this particular quote.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worthy.
But that's the only point I have for this chapter, really.
I do think you're looking too much into that point, but I get it. Like I think George is like, man, this chapter kind of stinks. Like, let me like fluff it up with some. Like, he needed a word count, and he needed 3 more words, so he said no one spoke. I'm gonna go to the next paragraph.
Okay.
I had a dream that the king had come. King's no.
Oh, Owen. Oh. I thought you were going down the John Danny line there. I'm the king.
My god. Oh my god. No, where I was going with this was that Stannis is on his way.
Yeah, I was kind of like laughing about this too because Owen has said this twice now. Owen the Oath, where he has Owen the Oath. I mean, come on. Why do we got like all these like Patchface saying crazy shit? Owen the Oath saying like he's dreaming that yellow banners are coming.
He's kind of right. He just missed the red.
It's because he's dreaming of the banners and he's can't remember who's king, so he thinks it's Robert. But it's he's seeing Stannis. I think him and Patchface like get along too. I think like Owen and Patchface.
That doesn't.
There's like a friend. There's like
me.
A moment with them. I think.
But my whole point was that, like, the king is I had a dream that the king had come. We know Stannis is coming. Like, in a weird way, Stannis is the king.
Yeah, come on, Stannis the Menace, the one and true king, for sure. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and then the last thing I had, Dallas about to give birth.
That's true. I didn't think about that either. But like, and I kind of mentioned it, and then I asked Kyle about it. Like, what do you think of the baby? It kind of becomes a big thing. Gilly smuggles this baby away.
Yeah, which I need to make a comment about this. How long ago did Gilly have her child?
We can go timeline. Let's see here. This is a good question. You're saying could the babies pass off as a young enough baby? Because your baby is how old?
My son and now is 5 months old, and 5 months from like I don't know, however old it is when they do the switch. Like let me see. Dallas baby like a couple weeks, maybe a month, but
a month and a half.
Who's a month and a half?
That's how long ago Gilly had her baby.
Oh, so Gilly month and a half to newborn.
Maybe 2 months. Say 2 months.
It's a little bit closer.
2 months to newborn.
There's a chance. I was hoping it was longer. I'll buy it now.
2 months.
Nobody really looked. So never mind. But
well, that's interesting. That's interesting for like. Because a lot of people think that this baby swap is like a parallel to John being a baby swap.
Yeah. No, so I was hoping it would have been like a little bit more like, there's no way that's Gilly's baby, but
doable now.
Yeah.
Especially depending, I guess it depends on like how long after that happens too. Like, I think it's relatively quick, but like if John's not trying to swap the babies till a year from now, then there's no difference, right?
Yeah.
Right, because I think you're right that like a 1 day old and a 2 month old look very different.
For sure. But a 1 month to a 3 month?
1 year old and a 1 year old in 2 months, you're not telling.
If you're saying that they grew at the same rate and everything like that, like obviously you have chunkier babies and like more hair and whatnot. But
my point is that what matters more isn't the distance between the babies. It's how much time has passed until John is trying to swap them off as different. Or maybe not what's more important, but they're both very important. They're equally important.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because I haven't experienced it, but I know the first thing to be true.
To your point, like your baby looked more similar from 1 and 3 than he did from 0 and 2.
No.
Okay, maybe not. I mean, you're the one with the baby, so I trust you on this one. But
well, yeah, but I only have 5 months of data.
I just feel like as time goes on, the gap that you could pass them off with grows.
Yeah, for sure. I do agree with you. Like at the point now, like I don't know if like you could tell he's 5, like even like you said, 5 months to like even like 7, 8. Like I don't know how much physical difference there's.
That's a good way to guess it. Is like if you were to ask some random person off the street, "How old is my baby?" The average margin of error would grow the older your baby gets. If it's like a day old, most people will be able to be like, "Yeah, that's probably like under a week."
Yeah, right.
But like after a month, people will be like, "Is it 2 months, 3 months?"
Yeah,
like, people could be off by like a month or two after, like pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure. So all right, but it's cool, like the whole baby swap thing.
Yeah.
And that's all because they think that now this baby could be the actual like is he a king too?
Well,
Does
it's
he
kind
have
of what
king's blood?
I was kind of toying with that with Kyle. I was like, "Oh, Prince be on the wall," and Kyle had the right answer. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know their culture. I don't know like how they feel about that." And that's the right answer. They don't give a fuck. But Stannis doesn't get that. Stannis thinks like obviously the son of a king is very important.
Yeah.
So John knows that. So John's like, "We got to get this kid out of here because they're gonna think this kid's important."
Yeah, so let me just talk because I forgot that Rattleshirt was a character witness here. They end up burning Rattleshirt, glamored as Mance, right?
Yeah,
So at some point, do they release this Rattleshirt back to the wildlings?
no,
That Mance.
this guy gets burned. This person here gets
Sure,
burned.
sure. But Mance is now dressed up as Rattleshirt.
Yeah, he gets sent to Winterfell. He's under.
Like, does he just hold on? Does he just dress up as Rattleshirt because he needs a disguise, or is Rattleshirt release so that they can then like the wildlings can make that switch?
They swap them, and John, I forget, I think it's probably John. It might be Sam, I guess. One of the POV says, like, yeah, when he was burning, he was yelling that he wasn't actually Mance the whole time. Like, he started, like, just claiming, he was so mad.
I don't think
with
you're
pain.
getting what I'm saying. Did they swap him out of the jail cell, or did they just swap him?
I don't know exactly where they swap him, but it's not until Melisandre
Like,
shows up.
was Mance in an ice cell?
Probably. Yeah, they're probably both
From
in ice cells
Stannis,
at one
right?
point.
Stannis comes. They're both in an ice cell, so
Yeah.
they couldn't make the switch.
After Stannis shows up, they're probably both in an ice cell, and at some point, because I was when I first saw Rattleshirt, I was thinking the same thing. At first, I was like, "Oh, could this be Mance?" And I'm like, "Wait, no, that's dumb. Like Melisandre hasn't showed up. Like, no glamours are happening until Melisandre shows up." But I think you're like to your point. Very soon, next John chapter, I think Melisandre will show up. Then at any point, yeah, it could be glamour time. They could be anytime after Melisandre shows up. I think you see Mance, it could be Rattleshirt and vice versa. The thing is, if you see Mance, say it's Rattleshirt as Mance, there's very little reason for him to go along with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they know Mance. Like at that point, he knows Mance is in trouble. Why would he pretend to be Mance? So I think after that, like once the glamour happens, we only see Rattleshirt actually glamored as Mance during the burning. Would make sense, but I haven't read it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. So, all right, let's wrap it up.
And the last thing I was thinking of when we read through the chapter was Janos Slint. He's talking to shit on John about Ned. There is I think my favorite like foreshadow quote of the entire book series is something that Stannis thinks like pretty early on. I think in Game of Thrones, maybe it's Clash of Kings. Maybe Clash of Kings because it's after Ned dies. But she's thinking about Janos, and she's like, I wish. She's like, she's kind of realizing that stories aren't true, and she's like, oh, the stories suck. Like, if the stories were true, heroes would kill monsters, and there would be someone to cut off Janos Slint's head, like my dad's head got cut off or something like that. And it's like a pretty direct one-to-one to John. Exactly. Hold on, let me find it.
John's that guy. John's the true song.
Frog-faced Lord Slint sat at the end of the council table wearing a black velvet doublet and a shiny cloth of gold cape, nodding with approval every time the king pronounced a sentence. Sansa stared hard at his ugly face, remembering how he had thrown down her father for Sir Ilan to behead, wishing she could hurt him, wishing that some hero would throw him down and cut off his head. But a voice inside her whispered, there are no heroes, and she remembered what Lord Peter had said to her in this very hall. Life is not a song, sweetling, and you must learn that one day to your sorrow. But I mean, come on.
Yeah, but then John does the song.
Ed, bring me the block.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be so good. All right.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say before we leave is just George does such a good job at making Janos is like, not even like the bad guy, just so hateable.
No, he's so, his face is so punchable.
Yeah, just like, oh, I want to hate this guy. Yeah. But we'll see you guys in the next one for Tyrion. Great Tyrion chapter. Basically, I think it's Shay's testimony and Mountain and Viper.
No, wait, all in one? It's got to be a long chapter then. 16 pages in my book. Ilaria Sand wailed in terror.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. That happens. So
yeah.
All right.
Last thing I will say, I think this is John 9, and like I said, I think this is chapter 69 out of 82. So we have 12 chapters left. One of them's epilogue, so we have 11 chapters left.
13 chapters left.
Did I do my math wrong?
Yeah, you got to count 70 as 0.
So, okay, 13 minus epilogue. So 12. I think there's 13 John chapters.
No, that doesn't make sense. Tyrion, Daenerys, Jaime. That's 3 right there.
Yep.
John,
So that's John 10.
Arya, Samwell. You're counting as Samwell as a John.
Maybe.
John, 2 Johns.
It's John 11.
Tyrion, Samwell, John.
So not 13. Yeah, I just looked. There's 12 Johns. Sansa epilogue. Yep. I might be off by only 81 chapters. So 12. We have 3 more John chapters. In my point at a 10.
That's
a lot.
still
It's
that's
a
a
dense
lot. Yeah.
amount of chapters for a single person. So I think it's
And 2 Sams in there too.
exactly. So it's a lot of
A lot of wall talk.
Sam convincing he becomes Lord Commander by the end of the book.
Yeah. Wow.
Stannis offers him Winterfell. He denies it. Ghost comes back. He becomes Lord Commander.
While we're here, let's just do the wrap up because there's one Daenerys chapter, so she decides to stay and rule. Right? Is that kind of where she's at?
So let's see. Belwas had just beat the champion, and she sent Jorah.
Oh, they lied.
Jorah
They
and
lied.
Barristan into the sewers.
Right.
So she will take Marine in the last chapter.
She'll take Marine and decide to stay there, type of thing. Or
I don't know if
is
she'll
that
decide
even-
to stay, but she'll at least take. I mean, that'll be a big climax.
Sansa gets to the Vale. Is that where?
Sansa's chapter is the last one of the. There's 2 more Sansas, right? No, one more
Okay,
Sansa.
yeah, I did say.
No, one more Sansa, and it's the last one of the book. And yeah, that's her at the Vale. Big Lysa reveal. I killed Jon Arryn. Lysa out the moon door. Big Sansa chapter.
Oh shit! That marriage is even shorter than I thought.
Yep. And we have, I think the other ones we have in there are Tyrion
Arya's-
and Jaime.
And
And
Arya.
Arya goes to Bravos.
Arya gets the ship to go to Bravos.
Bye to the Hound, onto a chip. Bravos is the first chapter of next book.
Jaime
Jaime and Tyrion, Tysha release.
Jaime
Tyrion.
sets Tyrion go. Is that a Jaime POV?
We have a Tyrion chapter after the Mountain and Viper, so I'm guessing that's a Tyrion POV. We might have had the last Jaime POV I think is him with Brienne. He gives Brienne the sword, and he has like the quote where he's like, "I can write the rest of my story."
Yeah.
In the white book. Yeah.
Yep.
Before it's the next Tyrion chapter, then we have Jaime. Then there's the next Tyrion where I think he lets him free. Yep.
All right. Well, let's call it a day.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next chapter for that Tyrion chapter, Mountain and the Viper. Should be a good one.
Dun, dun, dun.
See you guys then.
Bye.
And yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe. Bye.